Damn. Yeah.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our video for today, which is Math KSSM from 5 Chapter 4, Consumer Mathematics Taxation. Now you'll be learning everything about taxation for this particular chapter, right? So first let's look at our topic coverage. Now for our topic coverage, we have taxation. You'll be learning the types of taxations. You'll be learning how to calculate payable income tax, and underneath it there will be chargeable income, income tax, and tax rebate. We will be learning how to calculate monthly tax deduction, your joint tax assessment and separate tax assessment, your road tax, your property assessment tax, your quick rent, and finally your sales and service tax right here. So first let's look at what is taxation. So taxation is the process of revenue collection from individuals or companies for the country development. It's also to provide various facilities, for instance, education facilities, healthcare, national security, and welfare facilities for the well-being of the citizens. Also, at the same time, tax payment is pretty much a compulsory responsibility for each person. You are pretty much required for you to pay taxation for the government. All taxes are based on as well Parliament-approved acts. So, for instance, what is the purposes of taxation right here? Source of government revenue. What this means is to govern the country, right, and to finance the certain development projects, for instance. Another would be government policy implementation tool. One of the few examples would be tax relief. Later on, you'll be learning what tax relief. For now, tax relief is for parent medical expenses to ensure a caring community, right? Another would be control of sales of goods or services. Is to discourage people from buying certain goods, for example, alcohol or tobacco limitation, for instance. Financial tool to stabilize the economy as well. Well, we do finance the economy as it says here. Now we have many types of taxes, as you probably see in the topic coverage: income tax, joint assessment tax, separate assessment tax, monthly tax deduction, road tax, property assessment tax, quick rent, sales and service tax. Now you need to take note is probably your income tax right here. This is probably your question will definitely and guarantee ask you about income tax. So it's pretty much the most popular question in this particular topic. Sometimes they will ask you about a joint assessment or separate assessment, monthly tax deduction, or the last four here. However, income tax is guaranteed for you to ask. So now, moving on. Alright, now we have to look at calculating your payable income tax. Payable, again, note the difference, not income tax, your payable income tax. Alright, so how do we calculate it? First, you have to find your chargeable income. Next, you have to find your income tax. Next, you subtract your tax rebate. And then you get your final result, payable income tax. It's as simple as that, actually. Most questions, you need to find your chargeable income. They will ask you to find your chargeable income. From this particular chargeable income figure, right, you can calculate your income tax. And from once you calculate your income tax, you can find your tax rebate. And then you minus all this out, you get your payable income tax right here. Now, that's all. So for first thing first, calculate chargeable income tax, right? To calculate chargeable income tax, you have to total annual income right here, minus tax exemption, minus tax rebate. So again, important. Oops, one more. Right, again, very important. You need to calculate chargeable income tax. Alright. Now, again, now look at these three individual figures. Alright. So we have here, with any question relating to your chargeable income, to find your chargeable income, the question will usually ask you to find your total income, annual income, your tax exemption, and tax relief. The question will tell you, is it a wage, salary, bonuses, dividend, interest, rental, royalty, and premium, or anything else? In this scenario, okay, so the question will not directly tell you is it a total annual income in most scenarios. Alright, it will just tell you, for example, this X figure is 100 ringgit wages. 100 ringgit wages, right here, 100 ringgit wages. So immediately from that get-go, you immediately know it's total annual income. You need to be aware whether based from the wording mentioned in your question, right, the wording used, is it annual income, is it tax exemption, or is it tax relief? Alright. So in this scenario, for instance, you have wages X 100 ringgit and Y salaries. So Y salaries of another 100 ringgit. So you have to plug the two out. to get your final total annual income in a scenario of non-taxable income right here, non-taxable income. For example, petrol allowance and medical benefits. For example, let's say you got medical benefits of, let's say, Z of maybe 150 ringgit. Again, these figures, right, it's not realistic, just an example. Okay, you need to minus your Z figure right here, so X plus Y minus Z to get your total annual income. Again, the question will not directly tell you what is this figure referring to total annual income. You need to be aware when it says wages, salary, bonuses, dividend, or anything else, you need to plus all these figures here. And then if let's say the question will tell you non-taxable income, petrol allowance or medical benefit, for instance, you need to minus it out to get your total annual income right here. Okay, same audio. Tax exemption and tax relief. Alright, tax exemption include personal expenses and give donation and contribution to governments. Again, so this is these are tax exemption. From the word exemption, meaning we need to left out, right? So you need to minus this out. So total annual income, you find your total annual income, you minus your tax exemption, and finally you minus your tax relief right here. Okay, you minus your tax relief, non-tax expenses for the benefit of individual or family members. Now, again, the question will tell you total annual income, tax exemption, and tax relief. You need to be aware. It won't be that direct, right? Just be aware of it. Okay, now moving on. So here we have a question, right, of a chargeable income tax. Chargeable income tax, chargeable income. Mr. Encik Khairul, alright, has an annual income of 135,300 ringgit, including allowances. Alright, given that allowances amounting to 12 are tax exempted. Okay, at the same time, he made a donation amounting to 2,000 ringgit. The total tax rate on the other hand is 24,000. Tax relief 22,500 ringgit. Calculate Encik Khairul's chargeable income. Okay, so immediately from all these figures we can tell. Alright, annual income of 125,000. So this one, use your annual income including allowances. There's no problem. Allowances is annual income. Alright, allowances is annual income right here. So we can add that in. I mean, there's no figure, so this is the only figure, right? And then allowance amounting to 12,300 ringgit are tax exempted. No, it is tax exemption. This is not actually tax exemption. This is just non-taxable income right here, as it says here. So we actually have to minus figure out. So 125,300 minus 12,340 first. That's your total annual income. Like for now, let's just say the TAI. Okay, total annual income. Alright, and then you have to minus. Alright, you minus your tax exemption. Your tax exemption TE. Alright, 2,000 ringgit. So you minus 2,000 ringgit right here. Okay, because it says here donation referring to tax exemption. So again, the question not direct to you. You need to know, you need to be aware, donation is referring to tax exemption. Lastly, tax relief 22,500. So you minus that again. Tax relief, alright, TR, tax relief equals to 2,000. So again, you minus that as well. So once you get all these figures, right, you should get your payable income tax right here. Your chargeable income. My apologies. So you should be getting your chargeable income. Alright, your chargeable income. Okay, so yeah, note that. So now let's look at this question and let's do it alright together. Alright, now as I mentioned before, your annual income of 125,300 ringgit, allowances amounting to 12,300 are tax exempted. Right, you have to minus the figure out. Donation figure of 2,000 ringgit, you have to minus this for tax exemption. And lastly, tax relief is 22,500 ringgit. Alright, so from there you calculate your chargeable income. Now let's first look at your total annual income. Alright. Okay, okay, so here is 125,000 ringgit and 300 plus right here, oopsie. Oops, not plus, sorry, minus. Again, it's minus non-taxable income minus your non-taxable income of 12,340 ringgit. Alright, so according to my notes, it will be 112,960 ringgit right here. Alright, so let me just add that. Alright, I am here. Now, once you've done that, you can look at your chargeable income. Chargeable income, okay, so again, it's total TAI, total annual income, minus your tax exemption here, TE, and tax relief, TR, okay. So, you got your figure here, you use this figure, 112,960, minus your tax exemption, which is donation 2,000 ringgit, yeah, and your tax relief would be 22,500 ringgit, alright. For your final figure would be 88,460 right here. There you go. And that's your final figure. That's your chargeable income. You finally calculate your chargeable income. Now we need to move on to finding, well, for this question you're done, right? In another question, you need to look at your tax rate now, right? Your income tax from your chargeable income. Now let's move on to income tax. Income tax. What is income tax? Tax imposed on income earned by a salaried individual or a company, right? Now, each salaried individual and profitable company is required to register as a taxpayer, assess annual income and pay income tax annually. Again, annually meaning yearly. Annually meaning yearly. After obtaining chargeable income, income tax can be determined by tax rate. What is the tax rate? You will be looking at a particular table in the next slide. Alright, let's explain from there. And now, of course, income tax is a progressive tax in which tax rate increases, income increases. What does that mean? Look at the table on our next slide. Alright, so these are tables. Now, okay, now we're going to look at in the income tax, right? You just learn your chargeable income, you just calculate the chargeable income. Now, from this table, you need to find your tax rate based on your chargeable income. This table is provided from, well, again, this table is necessary in your question. If they don't provide this table, right? If they don't provide this table, you cannot do any taxation questions related, alright? You need this table. The question will guarantee give you the table. This table is under the Inland Revenue Board IRB of Malaysia. And for these figures here, note these figures may change in your question. If not, this figure may not be fixed, may not be standard, not be the similar as shown here. This is the year of 2020. This is the year of 2020, and your figures may be updated. For example, is it updated for year 2023, 2022? It's based on your question. For our next few slides, we're going to use this particular table. Alright. So, how do we calculate income tax? For calculating income tax, you have to find your chargeable income. You will first find your chargeable income first, and based on your chargeable income, is it within a range? Within a range, so you move on to that particular calculation rate and taxes. Alright, let's say your chargeable income is equal to, let's say, 25,000 ringgit. 25,000 ringgit, and in that scenario, your 25,000 ringgit should be over here. There you go. So you look at this range. Since your chargeable income within this range, so you're going to do your calculation based on these particular figures here, based on these particular figures here. Now, how do we do the calculation? Now let's move on. Alright, let's move on. First, before moving on to do the calculation for this particular question, let's look at tax rebate first. Alright, before we look at a particular tax rebate, or sorry, not tax rebate or income tax question, right? Let's look at tax rebate first. Tax rebate is to reduce a tax that needed to be paid. Like that. Alright, what does that actually mean? We have these two scenarios. There are two scenarios when we are dealing with tax rebates. If the chargeable income does not exceed 35,000 ringgit, meaning if let's say less than or equal to 35,000 ringgit, right? Less than or equal to 35,000 ringgit, a tax rebate of 400 ringgit will be given to a taxpayer. Alright, so you need to basically minus 400 ringgit out from your after calculate income tax. Yeah, chargeable income plus income tax minus tax rebate. So once you find your chargeable income as well as your income tax, you minus your 400 ringgit to get your final result of payable income tax. Alright. Second scenario, the amount of zakat of fitrah paid by Muslim. This particular figure will be given in the question. If a scenario, again, this second scenario is given, that means you are guaranteed to be paying. You're gonna minus your zakat fitrah amount. In a scenario where, for the first scenario, right, you need to look at your chargeable income, right? You need to look at your chargeable income. That's where the difference between the two scenarios is. Now, this 400 ringgit, right? in certain questions, they will not actually tell you your found figure. You need to be aware this figure is pretty much fixed, right? Pretty much fixed. And let's say if the question asks you to find tax rebate, right? Asks you to find tax rebate, and it's not second scenario, it's first scenario. You have to look at your chargeable income, right? Then you have to remember. You have to be aware. You need to remember that tax rebate is always minus 400 ringgit. That is pretty much a guaranteed figure right here. You need to be aware of that. Now, when we already look into tax rebate, we look into income tax, we look into chargeable income. Now look at a particular question here. Okay, calculating payable income tax. Alright, so we have a sample question here. Okay, so yeah, total annual income of 52,770 ringgit, donated 300 ringgit to government approved charity organization. Government approved charity organization, what does that actually mean? It means our tax exemption here. We got total annual income, we got here is tax exemption. Alright, tax exemption. We will show a tax relief rate. So we got so many tax relief figures here. Alright, we have so many. Again, you have to plus all these figures out. You got to plus these figures out and then minus by your tax exemption, right? Plus all these figures out and then minus by your tax exemption to get your payable income tax. Alright. Okay, so now we look at the calculate the income tax payable. Calculate income tax payable by Mr. Chan for the particular year, taking into account the tax rebate if eligible. For this question, it does not tell you your zakat, your fitra, right? Your zakat fitra. So that means it said here eligible. That means we have to look at the first scenario. First scenario meaning look at your chargeable income. Alright. So what's your chargeable income value first? Let's find that first. Alright. So moving on. Here we got, okay, as you can see here, we got the table. Somewhat small, again bear with me, I have to try to fit this everything in one slide. And then the question here, again, total income of 52,770 ringgit, donated 300 ringgit to government approved charity organization, which is your tax exemption, your tax relief figures all right here, and your calculate income tax payable, accounting tax rebates. Alright, so let me just get that in. Your tax exemption right here. Okay, so now first let's look at our chargeable income. Let's do it one by one, step one. Okay, chargeable income. To find chargeable income, we need to find the total annual amount. This for the question, we already got the figure, we got our tax exemption, and we need to minus all our tax relief figures here. So let's do that. So first thing first, let me just add more space. I need a lot of space for this question. So yeah, so RM 52,770 ringgit. Alright, and then minus your 300 ringgit. Oops. One moment. Minus your 300 ringgit, and then plus. Sorry, oops, not plus. Minus. My apologies. Minus all this out. Minus all this down. All these particles. So 9,000 plus 5,800 ringgit plus 1,700 ringgit right here, and then plus 4,000 ringgit. So once you calculate all this, you minus that out, you should get a total amount of 31,970 ringgit chargeable income right here. Okay, now we've done that. Now we have to first look at our tax rebates. Alright, sorry, your income tax. Your income tax. Now here's your chargeable income. Here's your chargeable income. So your chargeable income, we have to look at the range, the 1,970. You can see clearly it's within this figure here. So that means we have to look into this guy right here. Alright, we have to look into this guy right here. So now let's move on to the next slide for the tax income, to calculate income tax. Alright. Alright, now we calculated our chargeable income. Let me just write down as CI right here. Alright, to remember, chargeable income of RM 31,970 ringgit. Okay, now next we have to look at our income tax. Alright, as mentioned before, look at our chargeable income figure, and as you can see here, it's within this particular range. Alright, and then we have to look at this particular people right here, these particular figures right here. The most important thing you know is this guy, and this guy. Alright, now let's look at our calculation. Stay with me, follow accordingly, and then you can do similar question as well in the future. Tax on the first balance. Tax on the first balance would be RM, as you can see here, 150 ringgit. Alright, RM 150 ringgit. Okay, tax on the next balance would be, this is a calculation, you need to be aware of this, follow accordingly again. So look at your chargeable income of 31,970 ringgit and then minus this figure right here, 20,000, and then times your 3% tax rate, or in other words 0.03 right here. Okay, so once you've done that, you can get your income tax of 359 ringgit and 10 cents. There you go, you calculated your income tax already. Similar question will also do the same thing. You first calculate your tax on the first balance, would be your, for example, let's say your figure would be this. If let's say your another question figure would be this, then tax on the first balance will be 0 ringgit. Alright, for 0 ringgit. And then the second step here, tax on the next balance, your based on your figure minus this particular 5,000 times 1% tax rate. And for another type of question, it's very similar way as well. Just do the same step accordingly. Now, tax rebate. We have to look at tax rebate now. Okay. Okay. Are you eligible for a tax rebate? Yes. Why? Again, remember, 1 ringgit. Remember this figure. Always remember this figure. Why are you eligible for tax rebate? Because your chargeable income is less than 35,000 ringgit. Your chargeable income is less than or equal to RM 35,000 ringgit right here. There you go. Just as an explanation, right? Just an explanation. So yeah, you've done this. You've done your chargeable income. You count your tax on the first balance, tax on the next balance, extra tax rebate. How do we calculate income tax payable now? Now, let's look at your payable income tax, alright? Let me just write down here because I don't have enough space. Income tax, okay? Payable income tax will be, one moment. Oops. Okay, payable income tax. It will be, you use this figure here, you plus this figure here, and you minus this figure out. That's right, you don't use your chargeable income anymore. Your chargeable income is for your second step as well as third step. To calculate payable income tax, you only use this figure, and your 480 figure. Alright? Again, as I said, 150 ringgit plus your tax on the next balance would be 359 ringgit and 10 cents. Alright? And then you minus your tax rebate out. As I mentioned, subtract tax rebate, 400 ringgit here. Your final figure for your payable income tax would be RM 109 ringgit and 10 cents. There you go. You find your result already of your payable income tax, and that's how you do question related to this particular topic, right? Calculating your payable income tax. Now moving on, we're gonna look at another two scenario where you also need to calculate your chargeable income, your tax amount, your tax on next balance, your tax rebate, as well as payable income tax. This is the general view. These are just a general questions. It does not look into account. It does not take into account another two methods, which is monthly tax deduction as well as your joint separate tax assessment. Now, first thing we look at our monthly tax deduction. Now we look into monthly tax deduction. Monthly tax deduction. Salary deduction of an employee for income tax payment for current year. Again, current year, note this difference. If let's say the question asking for 20, one moment. Asking for 2019, the question asking for 2019, not for instance 2020. As just an example, alright. Your question asking your current year of 2019. So you only take into account monthly tax deduction of this particular 2019 figure, not 2020 figure. Just note of that. Alright. Okay, so now we have these two formulas, right? These two formulas: tax payable greater than PCB, tax minus PCB. In this scenario, it also means insufficient tax payment. your insufficient taxpayer, that means you as a taxpayer must pay to the IRB, the revenue board, like England Revenue Board law. Simple as that. In a scenario where tax payable is less than PCB, that means your PCB is bigger figure than your tax payable, you minus one out. That means there will be excess deduction. Excess deduction of PCB will be refunded by IRB to taxpayer bank account. So yeah, IRB will be paying to you instead, right? How do I remember these two figures? Very simple. I just see bigger figure minus smaller figure. In this scenario, if tax is a bigger figure, as you can see, tax payable is greater than PCB. That means this figure will be bigger, the PCB will be smaller, monthly tax deduction will be smaller. So it make more sense for you to bigger figure minus smaller figure, tax minus PCB. In this scenario again, it will be bigger minus smaller. Let me just write that this big minus small. Okay, this one is big minus small. So tax payable, PCB is larger, your tax payable is less than PCB, that means your PCB is larger. Alright, so PCB bigger figure minus tax smaller figure equals excess deduction. It's as simple as that. So that's all you need to remember. If let's say you see your tax payable is greater than PCB, so not bigger figure smaller minus smaller figure, tax payable less than PCB, bigger figure PCB minus small figure tax. Alright, simple as that. Now let's look into question taking into account monthly tax deduction. Alright, so monthly tax deduction for this question, right? We have annual salary of 25/21 in 2020. Alright, 2020 tax relief of individual 9,000 ringgit, life insurance EPF 7,000 ringgit, medical insurance for 1,325 ringgit, medical treatment expenses 12,350. Alright, donation 1,000 to an approved welfare center. Okay, deducted monthly salary. The question tells you your monthly tax. In most scenarios, you need to know your monthly tax deduction. Alright, your monthly tax deduction of 1,800 ringgit. 180 ringgit for monthly tax deduction. Calculate income tax payable. Does Mr. Lee need to pay any more income tax? Though this one asking you whether it's an excess deduction of PCB or you have insufficient tax paying amount. So look, first let's identify the figures first. Again, remember to identify figures. Annual salary is 74,000. So this is your annual income. Total annual income. This is your total annual income right here. This is your tax relief, individual, all this stuff right here. Let me just write down this, and this. This is your tax relief. Donation. So this is your tax exemption right here. Donation 1,000 will be a tax exemption donated. You know the tax exemption. Now, let's look at how to calculate this. Alright. Okay, so it's a very similar way. For monthly tax deduction question, it's usually you have to just do the same thing first. You first calculate your income tax payable as mentioned previously, as well as and then you need to find your monthly tax deduction amount. Right. Let me just do this. Tax relief, individual 9,000, life insurance, EPF 7,000, medical insurance 1,325, medical treatment expenses 12,350 ringgit, donation your tax exemption of 1,000 ringgit to approved wellness center, and monthly deduction of 180 ringgit. Alright, now same thing, same audio as I mentioned. First calculate your chargeable income, find your income tax, your tax rebate, as well as your payable income tax. Right, so first thing first, chargeable income, that would be 24,000. Total annual income 24,000 minus your tax donation of 1,000 ringgit, right? And then minus all these particular tax relief figures, right? Tax relief figures. So individual 9,000, 7,000 ringgit. Medical insurance 1,325, as well as medical treatment expenses at 12,350 ringgit. There you go. Now that's your chargeable income. Alright, chargeable income final result would be 54,425 ringgit right here. Now we've done that. Now let's look at our second step, which is our finding our income tax. Now income tax. Okay, second step, income tax. Do you remember? Look at your chargeable income amount and look at your table. Alright, that's where your table is useful as well. Again, 54,425. It would be within this particular range right here. So, and then let me take a look at where to take into account all these particular figures. And the most important thing is your 50,000, your 14% tax rate, and your 1,800 ringgit. Right? Income tax. Do you remember? One more time. Tax on the first on the first would be 50,000. Yeah. On the first RM, 50,000 ringgit would be 1,800 ringgit. Tax on the second balance, next balance, a moment. Tax on next balance would be, so what would be your 1,800 ringgit, right? Sorry, your 54,420. You look at your chargeable income, 54,425 ringgit minus your 50,000 here. Okay, minus your 50,000 here, and then times your 14% tax rate. 14% tax rate here. Now, your final figure should be 619 ringgit and 50 cents. Okay, so now we calculate our chargeable income. We calculate our chargeable income. We calculate our income tax for the first 50,000, 1,800 ringgit, and tax on the next balance, 619 ringgit and 50 cents. All right. First, let's move on to the next slide to calculate our tax rebate as well as our income tax payable as well as our total PCV to find our monthly tax. All right. Now, let me just write down all our figures for the first, the chargeable income CI, which is RM 54,425 ringgit, and then our income tax. All right. First 50,000 equals to 1,800 ringgit, and then next balance, there you go, would be next balance would be 619 ringgit and 50 cents right here. There you go. Now moving on, we need to calculate our tax rebate. Okay, tax rebate. Let me just rewrite that. Oops. So what's your tax rebate amount? Alright. This question, they do not tell you is it first scenario or second scenario. But why is it first scenario? Why is the answer in first scenario? First thing first. Second scenario, you do remember zakat fitrah. There's no mention here of zakat fitrah. That means we cannot look into zakat fitrah amount. There's no figures about that. That means for this particular question, we need to look at the first scenario of tax rebate, looking whether is it exceeding 55,000 ringgit. Your chargeable income is exceeding 55,000 ringgit right here, right? So that means your tax rebate will be zero, simple as that. Again, why? Because your chargeable income CI, is exceeding 35,000 ringgit. Again, so if let's say your chargeable income is lower than 35,000 ringgit, is less than or equal to, so you can receive tax rebate of 400 ringgit, right? But there's no scenario of that, right? So now moving on, we can look into income tax payable. Income tax payable, let me just write down right here. One moment. There you go. Oops. Income tax payable of, so how do we calculate that one more time? that will be your chargeable, your 1800 ringgit right here, plus your net balance, and then minus 0 ringgit, right? 0 ringgit, that means there's nothing, right? So 1800 plus 690 ringgit. There you go. Once you've done that, means again no zero figure, right? Minus 0, so nothing. That would be RM 2,490 ringgit and 50 cents. Okay. So now we've done that. Let's now we can, from this particular income tax payable, we can look into our monthly tax deduction. Now we can calculate that. I do have enough pages. Let's move on to the next slide. All right. So yeah. Okay. So first thing first, let me rewrite our previous figure of payable income tax. All right. Payable income tax would be RM 2,490 ringgit and 50 cents. Okay. Now it says here that our monthly deduction of 880 ringgit is for the monthly tax deduction figure, right? Your PCB figure, but this is only monthly. Again, this is only monthly, so we actually have to times 12 first. Times 12, because monthly tax deduction, again, you remember the meaning, the requirements is the monthly tax deduction have to look into annual basis, right? So first, let me just times 12, 180 ringgit times 12. Times 12 would be, for 12 months, would be RM 2,160 ringgit. Okay, 2,160 ringgit. So as you can see here, our figure, this PCB amount, is less than the tax payable, right? The PCB amount here is less than tax payable. So what you could do, that means we have to take into this figure right here, right? This figure here. Okay, so yeah. Now so what's the next thing you need to do is basically, as you can see, tax minus PCB, right? So your bigger figure of payable income tax minus your smaller figure of 2,160. So since tax payable is greater than your PCB amount, thus there is insufficient tax payment. As you can see here, remember this particular formula here, right? Insufficient tax payment. There you go. And then you minus it out, right? So 2,490 ringgit 50 cents minus 2,160 ringgit, yeah, is equal to 259 ringgit and 50 cents. There you go. So that's your figure right there. Alright, so that's your final figure. Now lastly, to finally answer this part B question here, this part B question here, let me just rewrite this. Let me just write here to answer the question. Let me just write here. Okay, so Mr. Lim needed to pay RM 259 ringgit and 50 cents to IRB, to the Inland Revenue Board, because the deducted PCB, which is right here, this right here, sorry, this 2,160, yeah, there you go, 2,160 PCB was sufficient for his income tax. There you go. Okay, now there you go, we've done it. We finally answered this question, part A and part B. and we have finally solved a particular monthly tax deduction question. So this is the one particular example question for this particular subtopic, right? Now we have to look into joint tax assessment and separate tax assessment. Okay, moving on. Joint tax assessment, and what's the difference, right? Joint tax and separate tax assessment. It's pretty much referring to married individuals, meaning husband and wife, right? Husband and wife. For joint tax assessment, filed by husband or wife income and husband income is aggregated, meaning plus that you add them together. Both husband and wife income, you added them together when filling the tax assessment. For separate tax, as the name suggests, husband and wife fill their own tax assessment. What does that mean? So for any question related to this particular subtopic, right, you are usually just want to find your chargeable income. You using a chargeable income method using joint tax or separate tax assessment. So all this while you've been looking into the general way of how to find chargeable income. Now for this question, you need to find the chargeable income based on this particular method, joint tax or separate tax assessment. Right, now let's look at the question. Alright. So moving on. Here we have a question. Alright. Of annual salaries 53,000, 73,000 for Mr. Raja, that's the husband, and his wife is 57,000. Alright, let me just try this. There go, this is wife, and then for this for husband. Yeah, they each donated 500 ringgit. They each donated 500 ringgit. So that means both husband and wife are donating 500 ringgit, right, to a government approved organization. And here we have a tax relief amount. Again, the question tells you your annual income, your tax exemption, right, and then your tax relief here. Now, calculate the total income tax payment, income tax of Mr. Rajan by using joint tax and separate tax. In most scenarios, because if let's say a question asks you to find using joint tax or separate tax for your chargeable income, it's gonna take a very long time, right? Usually it takes a very long time. So in most scenarios, a question usually will not ask you to find joint tax or separate tax. If the question PT you, alright, if the question PT you, usually they just either ask you joint tax to find using joint tax or to find using separate tax, alright. But for this question, for this particular sample, they're asking for you to find both, alright. Now for part B, between joint tax and separate tax, right, which is more suitable to be used by Mr. Rajan and his wife? Explain and answer. What do I mean by this? What do I mean by this? Let's look at the question first, alright. Now moving on. So for this question, right, because it's gonna take a very long time, so I just show you a particular picture image of the entire table and the final figures itself, right. We're gonna look into this each of these figures. We're gonna look into each of these figures individually. Alright, again, look into the question. Mr. Rajan and wife annual salary of 53,000 for husband, and for wife would be 57,000 for the wife, and then for donation would be 500 ringgit right here, donation. Okay, and then we got tax relief figures, and then asking for you to find the income tax first, the total income tax payable. Now again, you use joint tax or separate tax to find your chargeable income. All this while, as I mentioned, you utilize a general view. Now this when the question asks you to find using joint tax or separate tax, you have to use this method instead. Alright, so let's first look into joint tax, right? Let's first look into joint tax assessment. As I mentioned, husband and wife, we have to aggregate the amount. So as you can see here, we have to plus the two amounts, 53,000 and 57,000. As you can see here, it will be 110,000 here. Total exemption. Total exemption, again, same thing. You have to aggregate the amount. You have to plus them both together. This donation 500 ringgit, donation 500 is both is awarded individually, both for husband and wife. So that means the total accumulation after summing up, it will be 1,000 ringgit, right? 1,000 ringgit. Tax relief. So here we got tax relief figures here. Now here is something you need to take note on. Individual. Individual is 9,000 ringgit. Individual, we don't actually add both husband and wife, because I mean, as the name suggests, individual, right? So we are only looking into 9,000 ringgit here. Since both, in most scenarios, the individual amount should be similar for husband and wife. If let's say the question asks you for joint tax, the individual should be the same amount. For separate tax, it should be the same amount as well. In this scenario, in this question, yeah, as I mentioned, it's the same amount of 9,000 ringgit in most questions. For lifestyle, here's the interesting part for lifestyle, life insurance, and medical insurance. All these three figures, it got its particular like limiting factor amount, right? Limiting factor amount. So as I mentioned previously, 2,500 and 2,700, you have to aggregate amount for husband. But why are we using only 2,500 ringgit? Because it says here limited to 2,500 ringgit for the lifestyle figure. If let's say we add these both figures together for lifestyle, 2,500 plus 2,700 will be around like 52,000. Yeah, I think 52,000 ringgit. That's definitely more than 2,500 ringgit. And the question is asking you to limit the figure to 2,500. And as you can see here, 2,500 ringgit. As you can see here, the same thing goes for life insurance, medical insurance. There's a limiting factor, right? Limited to 7,000 ringgit. If we add the life insurance for husband and wife, these two figures, 5,830 and 6,000, definitely more than 7,000, right? Definitely more than 7,000. But since the question asking you for limit to 7,000 ringgit, we only minus 7,000. Same thing. Medical insurance, you add these two together, definitely more than 3,000. But however, limited to 3,000, so you only minus 3,000. That's your chargeable income. And then the same thing goes here. Alright. So base tax 4,600. So since your chargeable income is for in this particular joint tax assessment, right, 87,500. So we're gonna look into right here. This guy right here, right? Yeah, this guy right here. Let me just use a clearer color. Alright, clearer color. 87,000 right here. So that means we look at this, and this. As you can see, that's what's shown in this particular table, right? 4,800. So the first thing you do is 4,800. You take your balance amount, and then you do your typical formula of minus your chargeable income by the 70,000 right here. As you can see here, 70,000 minus it, and then times your tax rate of 21%, and you'll get your next balance income tax figure. The tax rebate is 0 ringgit. Why is it 0 ringgit? Why is it 0 ringgit? Because your chargeable income, is greater than 35,000. Your chargeable income is greater than 35,000 again, so you don't have tax rebate at all. Then lastly, you get your income tax payable. You do the same thing, right? You use 4,600. You 4,600 plus your next balance tax figure 3,775, and then minus your 0 ringgit tax rebate. You get your 8,208, and that's your income tax payable. Income tax payable for your joint tax assessment. Alright. Now, for separate tax assessment, again, the base tax here, the tax rebate, all the things are the same thing. The only difference in your chargeable income, how to calculate the chargeable income, that's the difference. So, as I mentioned, separate tax, you would separate it out individually. 53,000 for husband, 57,000 for wife. Minus 500 and minus 500 individually for donation, your tax exemption right here, and your tax relief. Okay, tax relief, same thing. Your individual figure 9,000. So you minus 9,000 individually, same thing. So for husband 2,500, because your 2,500 is actually not, well, it's actually equal to 2,500, the limiting cost factor, right? So you just use 2,500. If let's say if your husband figure is more than 2,500, then again you do limited to 2,500 ringgit right there. For, as I mentioned here, this example 2,500, right? Your wife figure of lifestyle tax relief, because it's more than 2,500 ringgit, your limiting factor, so you only use 2,500 ringgit as shown here. Tax relief that is eligible to be claimed is 2,500, besides spending 2,700. There you go. Based on your limited cost factor, your final result will be always based on limited cost factor. So and then life insurance, medical insurance, same thing, right? Life insurance 5,830 for your husband is not more than 7,000, so you can use the figure. 6,000 is not more than 7,000 for the wife, so use 6,000 instead. Same thing for medical insurance. Husband 2,750 is not more than 3,000, so use this figure 2,570. For the wife, it's not greater than 3,000, so use the initial figure instead, right? So now you calculate everything. You plus your you minus your total essential, you minus all your tax relief figures, you get your chargeable income, right? There you go. And that's pretty much the only difference for joint tax, separate tax. Joint tax, separate tax, when the question asking you to find using joint tax or separate tax method, it's usually just asking you to use chargeable income to find chargeable income only and to calculate using this particular method, right? And then as I mentioned before, your base tax, your tax net balance, your tax rebate, all the same thing. Just do the same thing as per usual. For a husband, separate tax assessment, 150 ringgit. 150 ringgit should be right around here. Let me see, 32,000. So this one is your husband tax. So husband tax is right here. So this guy, this guy, and 150 right here. So 32,000. So base tax 150 ringgit as mentioned here, and then your balance as per usual, chargeable income minus 20,000, and then times your 3% right here. Get this, your net balance tax minus 400 ringgit. Why do you get a tax rebate 400 ringgit? Because your chargeable income is less than your 35,000, right? Chargeable income is less than 35,000, so you get a free minus 400 ringgit tax rebate. So that's your income tax payable. There you go. And then you calculate everything, you should be getting 150 plus 375.60 minus 400 ringgit will be 125 ringgit 60 cents for your husband income tax payable. Now, okay, so now for wife assessment, separate tax, same thing. I already mentioned your chargeable income for your wife. Base tax, same thing, 600 for wife, right? For wife, 600, 400. It would be this guy right here. There you go. Yeah, okay. So this guy, 35,000, 8% tax rate and 700 ringgit tax rate. So 36,000, sorry, 600 ringgit for your base tax as mentioned here, 700 ringgit. Balance, do the same thing, 36,430 from your chargeable income minus 35,000 ringgit here, and then time your 8%. You get 114 ringgit and 40 cents, right? Tax rebate, why 0 ringgit? Because your chargeable income is greater than 35,000. Your chargeable income is greater than 35,000, so you don't earn any tax rebate. Doing all that, your tax payable is 600 ringgit minus plus 114 ringgit and 40 cents minus 0 ringgit of tax rebate will be this guy right here, 740 ringgit and 40 cents. Now, this is the most crucial detail. Don't forget to do this last step. You have to add both your 125 ringgit from your income tax payable from your husband, income tax payable for wife, add them together to get 840 ringgit right here. You do your calculation, right? This one 6 plus 4 plus 10, so 10 right here, 5 plus 4 plus 1 and 10, 2, 3, 4, and then 700, there you go, 840 ringgit, as you can see. So don't forget this step, very crucial. You need to calculate the final income tax payable. You do for separate tax assessment, you do calculate both husband and wife, add them together as well. Now, okay, now, and here for part B, right? It mentioned here part B right here, which is most suitable to be used for your joint tax, separate tax. And it explained here, separate tax assessment is suitable to be used because income tax rate is far lower, which is 840 ringgit as compared to 8,275 ringgit for joint tax assessment, right? In most scenarios, in real life, when you use joint tax assessment, your income tax payable final amount should always usually larger than your separate tax assessment. So in most scenarios, in most households, right, in the real life, people will usually opt for using to calculate your separate tax assessment for both husband and wife. Husband and wife usually will opt for separate tax assessment since you have to pay a smaller figure than compared to joint tax assessment figure, right? So yeah, it's just a real life fact for you as well. So in most scenarios, as mentioned here, as mentioned in the question, it's more suitable for the husband and wife, for Mr. Raj and his wife to pay using separate tax assessment method. There you go, 840 ringgit. There you go, and we are done with joint method. Sorry, joint tax and separate tax assessment. There you go. Okay, now let's move on to, we are finally done with calculating chargeable income, calculating total payable income tax, and then the two details of monthly tax deduction as well as your joint tax and separate tax assessment. And you're finally done for this one subtopic. Now we can move on. We can move on to the other smaller particular subtopic in general, smaller subtopics. Road tax. Okay, tax levy is based on engine capacity of the vehicle used by the owner. Road tax usually will be higher for vehicle with higher engine capacity. What does that mean? Let's look at the question. It's as simple as it gets. Here we have a question of road tax, right? Road tax for the private car. Again, this is private car. In certain scenarios, some question they will give you road tax for car as well as motorcycle, motorbike. In those scenarios where they give you two vehicles, the question give you two vehicles, they'll give you the tax rate for both the car as well as the motorcycle, right? For this question, it's only car, right? Tax rate for only the car. Alan has two private cars in Malacca with an engine of 859cc and 1997cc. Calculate the road tax for both the cars, so to add them together, right? So again, based on your based on your engine capacity or cc, then we look at your engine capacity and then do accordingly as well. Let's look at a question. Okay, usually now moving on. I have two private cars as I mentioned before. For private car, two private cars. For private cars, engine 859cc, 1997cc. Calculate road tax of both users. Alright. So road tax for car. Let me just do this. Alright. Part A is road tax. Oops. Road tax for car with cc of 859, or you can just shorten it. Let me just shorten this. Alright, with 859cc. Alright, 859cc would be this guy right here. Look at your range, 859cc. This guy, 20 ringgit. There you go. Simple as that. Road tax for car with car with 1970cc. Okay, now it will be within this particular range, right? This guy right here. Usually, right, anything beyond 1600cc, there will be an additional base progressive tax here, progressive rate. You have the base rate and the progressive rate. Anything beyond 1600cc engine capacity in Malaysia, according to law, you have an additional progressive rate, and then you have to add this. You know, you have to times 40 cents per se, or is it times 50 cents for each cc exceeding 1600cc or each cc exceeding 800cc. Now, look at this formula right here. This is how we do it. Alright. So first thing first, you have to first find your 280. You first add this particular amount and then add this particular amount. Simple as that. How do we do it? 280 ringgit. Okay, oops. Plus your 1997 cc minus your 1800 cc right here. So you can see here. Let me rewrite that so it's clearer. 1977 cc minus 1800 cc. There you go. And then you time all that amount by, as you can see here, your 50 cents, or technically 0.5. This is not plus 0.5. This is not plus 50 cents, by the way. It's times based on the tax rate amount, progressive rate amount. So in this scenario, 50 cents is equal to 5% basically. Sorry, 50%. Yeah, alright. So let me just do this. 50% as I said. Yeah. So final result will be 280 ringgit plus, let me just calculate here for the right side for the equation would be 197 times 0.5. Okay, 280 plus you times amount will be 98 ringgit and 50. Sorry, 98.5. Okay, 98.5. Your final figure will be 378 ringgit and 50 cents. There you go. And that's how you calculate road tax. Alright, it's as simple as it gets. These last 4 subtopics is usually a lot more straightforward. Yeah, it's a lot more shorter and straightforward than the first 2 subtopics, right? About how to calculating chargeable income tax, all those sort of things, your payable income tax. Moving on, property assessment tax. tax levy on all holding or property set by a local authority to cover municipal expenses. It's based on your location and type of property, basically saying your property can, example property can include like residential houses, industrials, commercial buildings, and vacant lands. Alright. Municipal expenses could be including, let me just write down. Yeah, this is important actually. Municipal expenses would be rubbish collection, for example, rubbish collection, drain cleaning. Again, these are all like, public municipal expenses here, right? Drain cleaning. Whew. And one more would be public park maintenance, for example, public park maintenance. All right. For properties would be examples, as I mentioned before, residential, houses, industrials, commercial buildings, yeah, as well as vacant lands. Oops, not clear. Alright. Now, annual value, annual value meaning yearly, right? Annual value, or sometimes the question we call it annual assessment, is a gross estimation of annual rental. It's a annual rental that is expected to be obtained from property rented out in a year. Alright, and then we have the formula. Property assessment tax, property assessment tax rate. The question usually give you the tax rate as well as the annual value. Alright. Again, same ordeal. Similarly, the question will not be direct, right? It will not tell you this is a holding of property. It will only tell you this is a residential house, this is a building. When you know it's a residential house, it's referring to building or municipal expense such as rubbish collection. And then the question asks you to find property assessment tax, right? Then you know this question is about property assessment, about this particular subtopic, and you need to know that, okay, this is about properties, this is about municipal expenses, right? Moving on. So we have a question here. Owns a residential house, right? So immediately you can figure this might be referring to property, and we are dealing with property assessment tax, right? Property assessment tax, okay, it mentioned here, right? Given the annual value 6,580 ringgit and property assessment tax rate, there you go, it tells you everything, all the figures right here. Calculate the property and tax rate assessment tax payable for each half year. Note here, half year, that means we have to divide by 6. Sorry, divide by 2. Why divide by 2? Because it's referring to half year. So you want to find a figure within the 6 months, not within the entire year, right? So you have to divide by 2. Yeah, divide by 2 for your final figure. So that should, for your final figure, divide by 2, one more extra step. Now move on. Okay, as I mentioned, residential house, property assessment tax bill, annual value 6,180, property assessment tax rate 5%. Calculate, tax payable for your property assessment for each half year. Now, how do we do it? Very simple. Property assessment tax. Property assessment tax, sorry. Payable would be, and you still remember the formula is property assessment tax rate. So that means I call this PAT, property assessment tax rate. All right, property assessment tax rate times your annual value, and that would be your 6,000 annual value. Okay, so your property tax is 5%, right? So 0.05, sorry. 0.05 times your annual value of 6,580. 6,580 will be RM. 329 ringgit, this yearly basis. Alright, this yearly basis, we have to find the half year basis. Property assessment rate for half year. Let me just write down here. PAT for half year would be 329 divided by 2. Lastly, your final figure would be RM 164 ringgit and 50 cents. There you go. That's your final figure right there. That's for the half year figure, right? So we are done with a property assessment tab. We got two remaining, a few more. For example, we have here quick rent. Tax levy on the owner of agricultural land, corporate land, land with building, right? So fixed by the state government based on the location, site, and type of land. Again, this land related stuff, right? So we have formula quick rent rate per unit area. Again, unit area, that means should be usually is something, for example, a meter square, so have the square amount per unit area, so have the square amount. That's usually that what tell you, but based on your unit, tells you is it quick rent rate per unit area, right? And then type total land area. The question will tell you all this. Move on. Quick rent. Ahmad owned a piece of government land. Again, land with an area of 6.7 meter times 22.9 meter. This is not per unit area. This is not meter square. You have to times this both. You have to multiply these two figures to get your meter area, right? Your meter square. Quick rent rate 40 ringgit, 40 cents per square meter. Right? Calculate the quick rent payable by Asman. Right. So we're done with that. Let's calculate this question. Right? Quick rent. Area, piece of land area for 6.7 meter times 2.9 meter. Quick rent rate 40 cents per square meter. Alright. Quick rent. Equals to, you remember the formula, quick rent quick rent rate per unit area, yeah, times total land area. Total land area, or TLA, right? TLA, total land area. That would be 6.7 times 22.9. That's your total land area, by the way. Times 40 cents. Let me just rewrite that. Let me write that so it's relevant to the figure. For the formula, sorry. Per unit area would be 0.40 cents times 6.7 times 22.9 meters. Yeah, you get that all that figures out would be 61 ringgit. Will be approximately 372 cents. So that means we approximate this amount to two figures, right? Two decimals. 61.37. There you go. As you can see here, yeah. So yeah, that's your figure amount right there. 1.372. There you go. Okay, I written that. Alright, now we're done with quick rent. Moving on to sales and service tax. Alright, this is the last one. Sales and service tax. Sales tax levy only once on various taxable goods at the manufacturing phase or during importation. The question again will tell you, is it taxable good at the manufacturing or importation? Then you know it's sales tax. Or the question can also be direct and tell you this is sales tax, service tax, right? Service tax, tax levy on consumer receive taxable services such as hotel services, insurance, food and beverages, preparation, telecommunication, and credit card. These are examples of service tax. You may need to be aware. Again, you need to be aware, you need to remember. The question will not be direct. He'll just tell you telecommunication and find the tax itself. So immediately you can know this service tax, right? Sales tax rate on good maybe 5%, 10% of other rates, while service tax rate 6%. This one is important. You have to remember about this one. You have to take aware of this. Service tax rate is 6%, 6%. The question will tell you either 5%, 10%. Usually the question tell you for sales tax. For service tax, the question may not tell you. You need to remember about this. Alright? The question may not tell you is it 6% tax rate. This figure again is fixed, right? Usually it's fixed, 6%. Going on. A question, sales and service tax, right? Say we bought a packet of nasi lemak. Nasi lemak from a store for 5 ringgit and 50 cents, not inclusive service tax. Okay, so this question immediately we can tell is service tax is not referring to sales tax, right? So the question can usually tell you question in your test may either ask you for sales or either ask you for service tax. Usually can ask you for both as well. So yeah, both. Bought a cup of coffee from a coffee house for 14 ringgit 80 cents, yeah, inclusive of 6% service tax. Why sales and service tax are not collected in the store? Okay, for this one you need to be you must have some general knowledge. I did not really tell you, I'll just explain this in when I review the answer. Alright, and can calculate the original price of a cup of coffee of sales and service tax. So by the question, right, is unique. Usually they give you the service tax amount 6%, right? 6% service tax, and then the initial pricing before the service tax. This one is already after the service tax inclusive of 6%. So this is actually the final figure. The question is asking you original price for a cup of coffee without sales and service tax, so exclusive, right? So first thing first, going on. So again, this question for sales and service tax, nasi lemak has nothing to do, so we actually ignore nasi lemak, right? We actually ignore nasi lemak. The question is asking for nasi lemak. Cup of coffee, 14.80 cents, inclusive of 6% service tax. Why sales and service are not collected in the store, and why the calculate original price for a cup of coffee without sales and service tax. Now, for part A question, you need some general knowledge sadly, and if you don't have this particular knowledge, you may not really know how to do the figure. Sorry, answer this question. For part A, yeah. Usually sales and service tax, the store owner in most scenarios had to generate revenue exceeding this particular 1.5 million ringgit amount. Yeah. If let's say for a store owner, if you're not receiving enough revenue beyond 1.5 mil per annum per yearly basis, then in most instances you may not actually need to pay for sales and service tax. This is something how it works in real life as well. But for this question, right, for service case, for this store owner case, there's no actually mention of how much revenue she's actually receiving, how much revenue service actually receiving. So we cannot actually assume how much revenue she's receiving. So the best way for us to answer this is just we do not know how much generate the store owner might not generate enough revenue. So the store might not generate revenue exceeding 1.5 mil per annum, per yearly basis. Again, there's no mention of revenue. We cannot assume how much revenue she's actually receiving. So the best way is just to assume that, not just to assume, the best way for her to answer the question is just to say, yeah, she might not generate enough revenue and exceeding 1.5 million per annum. So yeah. Now part B is unique because we want to find the original price before 6% service tax, before 14 ringgit 80 cents, right? So for 6% is actually equal to 0.06, not Chinese, right? English, 0.06. So since 14 ringgit 80, so I can write down in this way, x. Let me just use y instead. Yeah, oops. Let me just use y times 0.06 times 14 ringgit and 80 cents. Yeah. So that means right, we have to plus 1 this amount. To find the original figure, we have to plus 1 to 0.06. Let me show you how to do this. Okay. 14 ringgit and 80 cents times 1 plus 0.06. Then that figure would be 13 ringgit and 96 cents. 13 ringgit 96 cents. Why do we need to plus 1? Because we need to find the original figure. This is a quick trick for you. You can, for example, you can just again do the same thing. You can just 13 ringgit 96 cents. You will do the calculation times 0.06, 13 ringgit and 96 cents times 0.06. You can get back 14 ringgit 80 cents. This is a quick tip for you. If you want to find, if the question gives you the after figure, the after figure, and then you need to find the before amount, the before figure, right? For example, y, which is 13 ringgit 96 cents. You can, but the question also asks you to also give you your service tax, right? Your tax rate, your multiplication factor. Then you can 1 plus this particular initial factor to the after figure. You times these two amounts, the after times 1 plus 0.06. You can actually get your initial figure back. Sorry, your original figure before the tax rate and all those sort of things, right? So that's actually a quick tip for you. You can do this quick method and then you can find it on your own. Yeah, get the answer. Alright. So that's actually everything in this particular topic, consumer mathematics, taxation. I've taught you everything about taxes in general, the property of taxes, purposes, type of taxes, and how to calculate for each of the taxes, right? Again, the most important thing, the question guaranteed come out, how to calculate your payable income tax, your chargeable income, your tax relief, your tax exemption, the annual, your income tax, how to find income tax based on your chargeable income, for instance, your tax relief, and then the question will tell you, okay, do you need to find for monthly tax deduction? Do you need to find your chargeable income based on joint tax or separate tax? The question will tell you, and then you have to answer accordingly, right? So I've gone through all of that, and that's pretty much the end of our video for today. Thank you for watching. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope that you will enjoy our content. I hope you can like our video, and if possible, please also subscribe and click on the daily notification bell so you can get updated with our newly uploaded videos as well. Thank you for joining and have a nice day.